What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Shift on YouTube. It's Francisco Rojas, of course, as always. Happy holidays. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, hope your Christmas was just as good as mine. Got to, spend some time with the family, even though I actually had to work on Christmas, but that's what it is, in the media and the radio industry. So, no surprise there, but, got to enjoy some time with the family. So, I hope you all out there, had a great Christmas, great holidays as well. Looking forward to the new year. So let's get to today's video, shall we? So I kind of wanted to get into players that, and if you're a fan of the Hall of Fame, if, just in general, if you're a fan of Cooperstown, if you follow it every year, and you're just, you're somebody who goes back and forth on players and goes back and forth with other people on which players should and shouldn't be in Cooperstown. There's a lot of players that maybe we think didn't get a fair shake on the ballot, whichever years they were in and whatever reasons that they didn't get a fair shake. And I kind of wanted to talk about players. This is going to be like a little three-part series at least. We'll see where it leads into, but there are three players I want to get into today. I'm going to get into the first player, but I wanted to get into players that I think didn't get a fair shake on the ballot that were off the ballot because they didn't get the necessary 5%, whether it be in their first try, whatever it was. Probably, most likely in their first try, because the players I'm looking at, they were on the ballot, and as soon as you knew it, that same year they debuted, they were off. So today I want to start with a very underrated player of his time because of the era he played in. Was an all-around really good player. John Olerud. John Olerud, somebody I didn't love growing up as a Phillies fan because he played for the Mets at a certain time, but he was on some really good teams, man. The Blue Jays that won a couple of titles, the Mets, the Mariners, that 0-1 team. I'm pretty sure he was on that Mariners team, if I'm not mistaken. He was, yeah, because he came to Seattle in 2000. So, John Olerud, man, was a really, really good player. But, so he only got 0 points. He didn't even get 1% on the ballot in 2011. That year is when Roberto Alomar and Bert Blyleven both got inducted into the Hall of Fame. My opinion, both worthy for sure. But there were about like 8 or 9 players on that ballot that didn't make the Hall of Fame, but they eventually made the Hall of Fame. So it's pretty loaded ballots. But this is, I mean, I guess it's just like it's the way the Hall of Fame is. I don't know if there's a way that we can change this, but like the fact that John Olerud got less than 1% and was off the ballot, he 100% needs another look. Now, do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame? I've been going back and forth in this last couple of days. Like I wanted to get this video done honestly like a day or two ago, but I just kept going back and forth. I kept doing more research and I kept saying I don't know. I don't know with John Olerud. But before I get to my answer here real quick, go make sure that you like this video, subscribe, share it on social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. And also go make sure you check out my last video, more Cooperstown talk, of course, here in the holiday season. I talked about Jacob deGrom and what does he need to do to make the Hall of Fame. What does Jacob deGrom, who goes from the New York Mets, has a couple of all-time seasons, has an incredible peak, goes to the Texas Rangers. What does he need to do to get in the Hall of Fame? You can hear my answer, or you can see and hear my answer in the description box. That's going to be in the description box below. Go check that out. So back to this video. So John Olerud, I definitely think he needs another look. Now, for me, he's borderline. He's borderline. I looked at his overall numbers. Look, you could compare him to like other players that are in the Hall of Fame. I'm done with that whole argument. Like, well, this guy's in the Hall of Fame, this guy's in the Hall of Fame. Man, there are a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but that doesn't mean we just should keep putting guys in the Hall of Fame because there are guys that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. There are about like 50 players that shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Let's be real. I mean, even recently. I mean, Harold Baines got in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if any other names really come off, top of my head for me right now, but I mean, Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame, and that was recent. That was within the last decade. So I'm not using that argument like, oh, John Olerud should be in the Hall of Fame because Tim Raines is in there, or not Tim Raines. I think Tim Raines should be in the Hall of Fame, but because Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame, and who was the second baseman for the Pirates? Was it Mazeroski? Bill Mazeroski? Like, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but he is. But that doesn't mean that we should just we should be trying to improve the Hall of Fame. Now, do I wish that we could take players out? Yes, obviously I definitely wish that. But for the sake of trying to improve the Hall of Fame, John Olerud just misses, man. He just misses. Hopefully he gets another look, because I do think he deserves another look. I just don't think he deserves that less than 1% that he got. I think he deserves another look from a committee. Now, I definitely think there might be a case for him, because I do think that he's borderline. If you want to say he is a Hall of Famer, my only argument would be that he didn't do he was a really good defensive first baseman, and an underrated defensive first baseman at that. I think he had 3 Gold Gloves, and if you look at his overall career total zone numbers, because we didn't have the outs above average stat and defensive runs saved stat really until the end of his career, so you can't even really use that. But he did have 95 total zone runs above average, and I think that's like 5th all time. Incredible first baseman. But I don't going with that, with his consistent underrated offensive numbers that he put up throughout his career, because he did have some incredible numbers offensively too. But when I think of John Olerud, I don't think of one thing that, besides the defense, that he did incredibly well on offense, besides being just a consistent hitter. Like, yeah, he was a very good contact hitter. Someone can get, 400 on base percentage for his career, really good. But there's nothing that says to me with his resume where I'm like, yeah, shoo-in, Hall of Fame. It doesn't have to be a shoo-in. Look, Larry Walker, it took him a while, but Larry Walker, his peak was just so out of this world. His 97 MVP season, those late 90s seasons for the Rockies. Olerud, to me, his peak wasn't so unbelievably good to where, I'm giving him the extra edge to get in the Hall of Fame. I'm just not. Keith Hernandez, because that's a comparison I used in my mind, was Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez, they have similar numbers as far as OPS plus goes for his career. Olerud's 129, very good, very, very good, really good career with Olerud. 128 for Keith Hernandez. A 58.2 B WAR for John Olerud, a 60.3 B WAR for Keith Hernandez. I'm using this because no, Keith Hernandez isn't in the Hall of Fame, but I think he should be. I think being the best defensive first baseman of all time and having some of those underrated offensive numbers, I think putting that together, I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Now, very similar to John Olerud, but I just don't think there's nothing that sticks out. I know Olerud's up there, defensive first baseman, but Keith Hernandez was the best. Okay, so that's kind of how I look at this. Olerud was he just misses the mark for me. But I would love to hear your arguments out there too. I would love to hear what you think of John Olerud. Do you think that he should be in the Hall of Fame? I definitely think he should get another look. I don't know if it's which committee it would be. I don't know if it's what was it this year? The contemporary ballot. I don't know if it should be the today's game ballot. I was trying to do my research. When would the next ballot be? And maybe you guys could tell me out there. I'm not sure what it would be, but I do think whatever ballot it is, Olerud deserves another look. He definitely deserves another look. But I do think he would just miss for me. But again, this series is about players that didn't get a fair shake, with maybe getting spiked off the ball,t in their debut or whatever it was. And that's what it was with John Olerud. And that's what it's going to be for my next video. I'll have that to you guys probably a little bit after the new year. So, let this Olerud video marinate. Let me know what your thoughts are on John Olerud. Had some great seasons with the Blue Jays, with the Seattle Mariners, with the New York Mets. Every team he went to, look, he has a couple of World Series titles with the Blue Jays. Every team he went to was a very good player. Overlooked, and I think he deserves another look on the ballot just because he only got less than 1% of the vote on that 2011 ballot. So that's going to do it for me. Francisco Rojas here. Follow me on Twitter at Rojas_media_. Would love to know your thoughts there as well. Give me a follow. Let's talk some baseball. That's going to do it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.